Imagine you're sitting at home on a cold, quiet night. You feel the calm of this evening, when suddenly you hear something that breaks the silence of the room. A knock on the door. Going to the door, you peer out the window and notice two small children standing there. They sense your presence and ask to come inside. "We need to call our parents," they say. You're worried for them. You're worried for their well-being. After all, it is a quite late night, cold in fact. You open the door and suddenly your concern for them turns into concern for yourself. The children look up and seem to be acting very odd, every fiber of your being telling you to close the door and never let them in. But they are persistent. You, seemingly under a trance, begin to open the door of your home, offering your own space to them. When in just that moment, they look up at you, and you see these children have no whites to their eyes. In fact, their eyes are entirely black. You're frightened, and you realize they are not of good nature, or possibly even human nature. Just in the nick of time, you back up and quickly shut the door. The children become angry, beginning to yell, pacing outside your home. After some passing time, they give up and disappear back into the night. This is the typical story told of those who have experienced or come in contact with black-eyed children. Now, I have never experienced black-eyed children in my lifetime, nor do I hope to or wish to. This is kind of one of the folklores that, or stories kind of passed down from generation to generation, or just friends talking, that I hope is not true. It just scares the life out of me. There's just something about aliens, or in this case, alien children, that really terrify me. Children who are like possessed or evil in general are always creepy. I mean, I think everybody can agree on that. But you add this element of these unknown children who can possibly put you in a trance and take over your life in disturbing ways, which I'll get to in just a few moments. That's what really freaks me out. So there are some stories that have been told by others about people who've come across black-eyed children. Like I said, I've never had this experience happen to myself, but it seems like a very good possibility. You know, you lying in bed at night, you hear the knock at a door, and children are very vulnerable, and you would obviously feel very inclined to help them out if they're ever in a bad or dangerous situation. So there is one story that I read online, and I can't remember. I will link in the description of the show where this originated from, because I'd like to give credit where credit is due. But there was a story that I'd read maybe a year or two ago that really stuck with me. So basically, I will read it to you now, and you can give your own thoughts to this. You can take this with a grain of salt if you believe it or you don't. One account, though, they were awoken in the middle of the night to a loud bang on their door. They lived in seclusion, so there was not really a lot of people around. That wasn't a common occurrence for them. Usually isn't for anyone, but when you're living out in the middle of nowhere in a home that you get to on dirt roads, it's a little more challenging for others to find you. They say they heard this knock and they assumed that it was somebody that had just gotten stuck in the snow and they needed to call a tow truck or something. Well, anyway, they opened the door to see two children standing right before them. Looking behind these children, they didn't see any footsteps coming from the road, but the dusting of snow showed no sign, any sort of car tracks or anything. The children looked to be about 8 years old, with an odd style of clothing. Young boy had an outdated style of hair. Most cases, upon seeing two children in the cold, obviously your instincts would be to rush to get them into a warm space, offer them some hot cocoa, take them in. But the children's appearance, according to this couple, was very unnerving, and those instincts were kind of lost on that. They refused to make any sort of eye contact with the couple. They asked, "Can we come in?" The couple asked where their parents were, and the children responded with, "They'll be here soon." And that just kind of gives me chills, just that alone. It was about 2 a.m., and although their instincts told them not to, they invited the children into their home. The couple tried asking questions about how they got there and what had happened. The only response the strange children gave was, "Our parents will be here soon." The cats in the home were acting strange, which is very common with animals. If you have a cat or a dog, I'm sure you've witnessed some sort of odd behavior that can't really be explained. They can sense things that we can't. They're open to things that some of us aren't open to. So the fact that their cats were hiding was kind of concerning to this couple. They were acting as if they were in danger, these cats. Hiding, hissing, hair standing on end. The husband soon reported feeling very dizzy and stated he didn't feel very well. But after some passing time, the children looked up at them, revealing their entirely black eyes. The children then stood up together and asked to go to the bathroom. They had been there for some time when the husband's nose began to bleed. When the wife went looking for a tissue for her husband, the power went out. Soon after that, the children reappeared from the restroom and said, "Our parents are here." They walked outside, got into an idling car, parked at the end of the driveway. Two tall men ushered the children into the car, and they drove off. And if that instance wasn't scary enough, it's what happens after the black-eyed children have left that is even more startling, which can be coincidence. I don't want to say that everything means something, but it's a pretty big coincidence, really. The cats of this couple, the ones that had been acting so strange around these children, had all gone missing. And one was even found dead after it had been vomiting blood. The husband's nosebleeds continued. He finally went to the doctor, who told him he had an aggressive form of skin cancer, a form that you get from overuse of tanning beds. Now, the husband had never even been to a tanning bed before. His wife shortly began developing similar issues, beginning with the dizziness and then the development of bloody noses, just like her husband. So that is a story that I read and I was like, oh my God, that is absolutely terrifying. I can't imagine something like that happening. And obviously this story can be fake. It can most definitely not be real. People are known to embellish their stories and tell tales, online especially. I mean, here I am telling tales, spreading the rumors, so it could be very well what it is. But it is a very startling story with a lot of crazy details that I feel like a lot of people would have a hard time coming up with. Although if you are an author or something, that may be no big deal. And maybe it was just an excerpt from a book or something that this person was writing. Who knows? Who knows? But I like to believe that this person is telling the truth and that this is an actual instance that has happened. And it's a good tale and a little word of caution to not trust what you think you should trust. A lot of people, myself included, I want to see the good in others, and sometimes you can't. You need to trust your instincts and trust your gut in certain circumstances. So I just found this story very intriguing and very interesting because it's the only one I found online where the person had in fact invited these black-eyed children into the home. And all these years that I had heard about the black-eyed children, I only heard of tales of these children coming to your door, coming to your car, asking to be let inside, and them not being let inside. So I just thought it was really, really interesting. But anyway, I hope you liked this episode. It's a little short. I apologize, but I thought it was a little fun, a little taste of just a spooky tale, a spooky story. So if you like these, please let me know. I love your comments. Please visit me at Tara_normal_podcast at Instagram. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time.